Wow, that actually worked. Welcome back everyone. Today we are covering The Batman. Just saw that in cinemas last night, and today we are going to talk about it. It's going to be a full review, so if you haven't seen it, go check it out, come back, and let's go. Before I get into it, make sure you send a like and subscribe if you like this, otherwise we'll keep going. So the story of this Batman takes place obviously in Gotham, with the Batman still getting its fundamentals down. We run through the dirty underground of Gotham to discover what happened with the biggest drug bust in history of all time, and how these dirty cops in the criminal underworld are trying to make money off it. This is where the Riddler comes in. He is the main villain, he is the star of the show, and he comes to terrorize Gotham, killing off dirty cops and people in power to give Gotham another chance at renewal. Now, being this is my first movie review, I just want to cut this into categories. So for number one, we're going to look at the characters now. The Batman. The Batman, played by Robert Pattinson, done extremely well in my opinion. It was a suppressed Bruce Wayne that hasn't dealt with his emotions and is shut off from everyone else. This Batman shows that the Batman is the real person and Bruce is under the mask. Robert Pattinson does an amazing job in my opinion. Really actually well done. I can't sing his praises enough. The film focuses more on Batman being a smart detective and following leads rather than a crazy action sequence. In saying that, the action, when it does happen, hits really hard. Robert throwing punches, receiving punches in extraordinary fashion. I'm actually really happy with how they've created this Batman character. Before I go too far with Bruce Wayne, I know some people have said something about Bruce being too dark, a bit too emo. It actually makes so much sense for his character being so early into this. He's so secluded, he's cut himself off, he has nothing to lose. It actually makes complete sense of why Bruce Wayne would reflect this. Now let's move on to the Riddler. Now there are a few villains in this movie, but the Riddler, of course, played by Paul Dano, oh my god, incredible job. And from what I've heard, he devoted himself so much to that character, similar to the late Heath Ledger when he played the Joker in The Dark Knight. He even made some of the cast have difficulty sleeping during the production because of his acting. That is insane. And this is what this Batman is after. Thriller and drama. The Riddler is no happy Jim Carrey Riddler. He's smart. He's batshit insane. I do wish Paul Dano got maybe a bit more attention when the mask was off. The scene in which him and Batman are having that moment in Arkham, insane. I loved his performance. It was so well done. And the expressions he actually gave during that, some of the best acting in this whole movie. Now, of course, we have to come to Catwoman. Now, Catwoman is handled very well here. The Bat-Cat relationship is done really well and doesn't feel forced onto. It actually happens quite naturally. I wasn't sure about it at first with the actors and all that kind of stuff, but once it grew, it made complete sense. And Zoe Kravitz, especially during some of her final confrontations in regards to her story arc, absolutely takes it home. Her emotional performance near the end there, spectacular. Now, I won't go too much in the Penguin because the Penguin isn't actually a major character. He was in it for a few scenes and he is played so incredibly well. I think it sets him up really good for the future of this franchise, and that's all I'm going to say about him. I'm just going to move on. Quickly talk about Gordon. Gordon played extremely well. I do love Gordon and the Bat's relationship. It really showed a development at the start, and it shows future development as well. I really love that, and I hope that grows. Now, I can sing the cast praises like crazy, of course. It's all nothing without the things in between. The costume design was spot on. The story is amazing and delivered so well and so dark, which made it so good. But of course, the main thing, the main pro I can give about this movie is the music and soundtrack. Now, special props to the soundtrack and sound design team. I caught myself just in awe in moments in this film of how fantastic everything I was hearing from the Bat theme would creep up. Rumbling force of the Batmobile when it first arrived. Stunning. Actually amazing. The high-pitched squeals, the low grunts, Everything was done so well. I am buying this soundtrack on vinyl the second it's released. Now, I don't want to go too far into the actual story-wise and stuff. All I can tell you is it was done really well. I do think this is going to cut the community in half. A lot of people aren't actually going to look at this as a Batman movie. If you look at it in regards to the Dark Knight Rises, and the Batman Begins, you're not going to get what you want. You need to look at this as if you're looking at the Joker. Yes, the latest 2019 Joker. Think of that and think of Batman, because that's how I see. Batman's villains have always represented some kind of mental crisis or mental disorder, and to me, this shows it. The dark thriller drama of this film really shows the Riddler and his OCD and what he represents as a mental disorder, and it's actually so incredibly well done. If you have done any form of research on Batman villains and Batman himself, this movie is very spot on. And that's what I mean by it's going to break 50-50 of the people that love Batman, because some people love Batman for Batman and some people have actually gone very far into it and they know exactly why this movie is fantastic, and the filmography is why this is fantastic. Now, of course, the one negative, I will say one negative, with all these positives comes one negative, would be the ending. If you haven't seen the movie, this is your last chance. I will be spoiling the ending, so give you a second. Fair warning. Alright, so the final step in the Riddler's plan. Once the Riddler is caught, has that fantastic scene in Arkham, we find out there's one last step that the Riddler's left for everyone. And he's placed bombs around the dam of Gotham that explode, flooding, killing people, killing so many people. This action was probably a bit much for me personally. I feel like I probably could have gone without it. It's not that it just wasn't good to look at, or it really was good for the Bat's character development. For me, it was just that extra step where I was like, okay, we're going from one thing to now we're just brutalizing all of Gotham with this flood. It does make sense in DC culture, that's why I won't give it a big negative, but it's just something when I was watching I was like, I probably could have done that without. But that's it for that one, guys. That's just my opinion. I completely understand for the people that didn't enjoy it. It was long and slower movies than we're used to nowadays, but me personally, I loved the characters, I loved the story, I loved the way where they went with it, and I'm really excited to see it again and get this vinyl, and just, I reckon it's going to go down as one of my favorite movies of all time, but we'll check on that at the end of the year. But anyway, have you seen The Batman? What did you think? Comment below. I would love to hear what you thought about it. If you enjoyed this video, smash the like button for me, and if you could possibly subscribe, that would definitely help me out. But of course, I'll see you guys in the next one.